totally.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you really interested? How did you sort of get the gig in The Lion King? How did that sort of come about?
Oh boy, I've been doing shows on and off for so many years. I used to do a lot of touring shows. I was touring with a guy called Andy Shepherd and George Russell Orchestra, and I would fly back from Austria or something to do a show. And I had a show running in the UK at the same time. Looking back, I don't know how I did it. It was like, it actually was logistically impossible. But I'd never do it now. But I didn't think about it then. And I was on so many shows that one show led to another. You know, it's like, oh, this is coming to an end in 2 months. We got another show. Would you? And it just, then I started MDing. Someone asked me to MD. I MD'd a couple of shows, Hot Shoe Shuffle, something else, which I can't remember. Anyway, and then that led to, I started depping in London. People were saying, can you come and do this show for me in London? Because I was depping on shows in the West End when I lived in Manchester, which was a nightmare, you know, traveling down to Manchester, traveling down to London and then getting back to Manchester for the next day. So, and it was, again, it's the word of mouth, you know, and then, you know, I was doing shows on piano, Smoky Joe's Cafe, Hot Shoe Shuffle. Smoky Joe's Cafe was a show I led from the piano. I even had to sing a song in that show. And now that was a meaty piano part. Oh my God. That was gospel piano. That was superb. Right. Loved that. And yeah, it's word of mouth, you know, one thing led to another. I've never had any plan. I still don't. I just I go with the flow. It's almost like there's something else guiding you, you know. And I've been lucky. I've never been out of work since I was a teenager, ever, which is amazing. You know, I look back, didn't think anything of it, you know, because there was lots of my friends like, oh, I haven't got any work for 2 months. I haven't got any. I was thinking, oh, right. Little did I realise I was just moving one thing to the other. It was almost like it was mapped out. I remember when we did Lion King, I've taken 2 sabbaticals to go and do other shows. The first one, I helped set up We Will Rock You. And I took a year off to do that. And it's almost, you couldn't have planned the dates. They said, oh, well, your sabbatical ends on this day. And that was the day I finished with We Will Rock You. I mean, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
And the other one, I was the first drummer on Mamma Mia and Billy Elliot. And same thing again. I took another sabbatical. I mean, Mamma Mia was before we started Lion King. But Billy Elliot, it was almost like someone was looking after me. It was like the dates just coincided. But I think with Billy Elliot, I had 2 days off.
Wow. What, in between shows? Like in between from one to the next?
Before my sabbatical finished with Disney, I had to come back on that day that they said, otherwise it wasn't my gig anymore.
Wow.
So leave, you know. So yeah, I've been very lucky and everything's slotted into place, but it doesn't always work like that. For, you know, that was someone, the gods looking after me, whatever form they are. But no, I've been lucky.
That's crazy. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably, that just shows the importance of, like you said earlier, about taking all these different opportunities, as many as you can, because one thing leads to the next.
And don't, you know, I mean, I know a lot of musicians that they just think about the money. I never ever used to think about the money at all. It wasn't part, it didn't come into it, you know. I mean, Lion King and other shows, we'd get paid lots of money, but that wasn't I just wanted to play, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, and a lot of jazz gigs in pubs and clubs before things, you know, in between big tours and all that. I'd go back and play in my local pub, you know, and I loved it. You know, a couple of pints, free beer and a meal, you know.
And that's the payment. Yeah.
The money's never driven me at all. And it's amazing being like that, because if you let the money, I've known guys turn down jobs. Oh, the money's not enough. I said, but you don't know who's going to be on that gig. You know, there might be some person in that band you're playing with who thinks, like what you're doing, can you come and do this tour with Adele or something? You know, you never know.
Totally. And I think, you know, you've got to be really prepared to take those opportunities, even if, you know, you got to not worry about the money.
No, the opportunities will be there, but you just got to make sure you're prepared when the opportunity arises.
Yeah.
That's, you know, So play as much as you can, practice as much as you can, listen to what you can, and the rest should just fall into place, really. You know, it really can. I think there's gigs for us all out there, you know, so I don't know what these things keep on.
Sorry, my house phone went off earlier. I don't know if you could hear that.
I thought it was mine. I've got exactly the same ring.
Oh, really? Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I really thought it was mine. So
I did a little. I asked some of our followers if they had any questions for you on our Instagram yesterday, and I've got a couple of them here. Do you mind if I asked you a couple of these questions?
No,
yeah,
far away.
Cool. So, what's your favorite song of the set from The Lion King, if you had to pick one?
Ooh. There's a few for different things. Circle of Life, I mentioned before, is definitely, it's a great song to play. It's just groove. It's funky. It's a third, but you know, and funny enough, you don't use a lot of cymbals in it.
All right.
Yeah,
it's a lot of tom grooves.
Tom snare. Yeah. You know, they don't want to hear cymbals because it's African. You know,
Yeah.
Another one is Can't Wait to Be King. It's that sort of Cajun New Orleans. So really, a lot of people struggle with that because your left hand's doing this, and you're playing the low ground tom. It feels a bit alien, but in the mix, it sounds brilliant. There's a few others. I'm probably not going to remember titles. It's been so long. I haven't done the show for 8 months.
Yeah, lockdown.
That's another thing. I mustn't think about that because it's going to be literally like starting the show all over again from scratch. We're going to have to go into rehearsals. You know, everyone's sort of saying, "Oh, it'd be easy. You've done it for 20 years or whatever it is." You know, no, it won't. Trust me. Another one is what's the I can't. He Lives in You. Now, in that, I don't play a lot. I'm hi-hat with a plastic thing, if I can remember to pick it up, shakers, and then at the end there's this lovely groove which a lot of my depths struggle with as well, apparently. But if you see it written down, I should have got some of these examples here. It looks so complicated, but it's actually not. And I remember when people were learning it, I said, look, don't think about what's written. I said, look at the toms. There's a tune. Dum 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 da dum da dum dum. Don't just sing that. Da dum da dum 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 da dum da dum. Forget about all the other stuff, because they would try to book the band. I said, get the tune, and the rest will look after itself.
Yeah.
And you know, because sometimes that's where reading can really screw you up. Sometimes, you know, because if you literally play what's, you know, sometimes they want it to be played every note, you know, but this didn't. It's main, all they wanted to hear was that tom tom tune. Boom, bam, bum, dum, boom, boom, dum, bam, bum, dum. That's all they want to hear. I said to my dad, forget about all your hi-hat going, and you know, dum, bam, bum, dum, and that backbeat, boom, bam, bum. Forget it. And they said, oh, that really helped. I said, yeah, the tune, you know, common denominator.
You just have to get the tune in your head, and then the rest comes.
If you look at the part, I wish I had an example. It looks like a nightmare. It looks like a Vinnie Colaiuta stuff thing, you know. It really does look terrifying, you know, but it's not. You know, strip it down to the bare essentials. And there's another part that I really love in the show. It's called The End. No, and the thing is, that's a joke. But it's a very heavy play, you know. But I'd rather it be, and you're not stopping. You very rarely stop. And you've got the odd tune, which I was just saying, you know, they live in you, he lives in you, is very percussive, you know. But it's all great, you know, because there's every style in that show. There's big orchestra, Stampede. That's another good one. Da 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 da. You know, it's like brilliant to play. And then there's orchestral stuff, and you have to do hand drums. Actually, on the kit, I mean, what I could say, when we do actually get up and running, if anyone wants lessons or they want to come in and sit next to me on the show, you're more than welcome. because I have people sitting in all the time, and I think it helps them a lot.
Sure.
Seeing how it all works, you know. And I'm up for that, because a lot of guys did that to me when I was younger. You know, said, "Oh, come and sit and listen." You know.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing opportunity to sort of come and see how everything is done. You know.
Yeah.
Learn from watching.
Yeah, totally. Meet everyone in the band. You know, see how terrifying it is. The most terrifying thing for Depths, it's not so much for me now because I know the show, but the drum chair is in his own room. Now, if anything goes wrong, like your cans go dead, getting someone to, I've got a phone in there, but no one ever answers it. You know, it's like, so it's a nightmare in that sense. If or your music all fell off, tough.
Yeah,
but it's all part of it.
Yeah. I guess it's embracing that challenge if something like that happens. Yeah,
and putting into the pot, you know, is your nerves, you know, because you're going to be nervous, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. What's your biggest advice, would you say, when it comes to handling sort of stage fright and nerves?
Well, it's good to have it, not if it's completely overpowering you and you're unable to, you know, and you want to go to the toilet all the time or something, you know, but you can learn to control it. You can, it's good to have that nervous energy, you know, it keeps you so focused, you know, but you mustn't let it tip you over. It's not worth it. You know, one MD said to me once, he said, "Dave, you know, there was all this stuff going wrong." He said, "We're not putting men on the moon." He said, "We're not curing cancer." He says, "We're playing a show." He said, "If one little bit goes wrong, the audience won't know." And that's true, you know. Because where you are, it's magnified by 1,000 times. So I think if I miss this snare drum beat, the whole audience will go, "Oh, did you hear that drummer?" You know, no, they don't hear what you hear, and they're not aware. You know,
that's what I've always been told by everyone. You know, like if you mess up on the drums, it's much less noticeable apart from other drummers. And how many other drummers are there in the audience? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a finite number of possible drummers in the audience that are gonna pick up on one little bit that you missed.
And that's if they know the part. You know, it's like in your head, it's like you're the soloist sometimes. You know, you think, "Oh, everyone's listening to the drums." Well, they are, but not as in depth as you are. You know.
I think it's probably as well the fact that the drums are so loud for you. Everything's right in your face when you play. You can hear everything completely, like crisply. You know, if you mess up, it's like jarringly obvious and painful to you, but no one else can notice.
Magnified by 100 times, you know, whereby your mistake might become part of the music, or someone might say, "Oh, I like that, the way you missed that snare drum beat out." Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I like to do that.
Yeah, I like to do that every now and then. You know, it keeps you guys on your toes. The fact that I dropped a stick is kind of
it's just a new stick trick.
I get really sweaty hands, and I use these Vic Firth sticks over here, just your normal 5As, and I rub them down because I get very slippy hands, even though I'm not really nervous. I either use that what's it called? You may not have heard it. It's called Sex Wax. Funnily enough,
I've heard of that.
Yeah. I always put that on. In fact, I'm looking at some now on my Roland kit there, even when I'm practicing on this, because my hands are so slippy. Sticks, I can kill people from 100 yards. They just fly out my hands. But that stuff, that Sex Wax, fantastic. I have to use that. But I don't know if other people get that, you know. But
I'm exactly the same, so I completely relate. You know, my hands just sweat. Yeah. I had to use my friend's a hockey player, and he has sort of hockey stick tape which he used to keep his grip on, and I said, "Can I borrow some of this?" And I just wrapped it all the way around, like sort of the handles, and I was good to go. But if I don't have that, they can slip out easily.
My uncle once said to me, God bless him, he's gone now, but he said, "You're lucky," he says, "because you earn a living doing your hobby." And when he said that, it hit me like, you know, I've never really thought about that, because I had all my cousins and people like that who hated their jobs and like, and I was loving mine. I still do. I can't wait to get back onto the show again, you know. And I'm still playing every day. I do a bit of guitar in the morning. I get on my bike, do a few miles on the bike, piano, get on the Roland, write music. I write music. I don't do it as a business anymore, but I still write stuff, and I've got manuscript paper. I do it the old-fashioned way. I've got manuscripts everywhere around me.
So you write sort of on stave then, I'm guessing, yeah? And
I do what?
You write on the stave. You like put in the notes and write.
No, I mean I write me. I'll stay at home and compose stuff.
Oh right, okay.
Oh, yeah, nice. I'm writing. Oh yeah, I'm writing piano music and stuff all the time. It's like, oh, I've got bags of compositions downstairs. My mate said you should get these in a book and get them published. I went,
yeah. Why not?
Well, we'll see. I've got enough to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the biggest challenge I think for most musicians now at the minute is what do they do with their time? So I guess
since we've been in lockdown, I've never been busier. I'm getting so much done that normally take me a year to do. It's been great for that. I've been like, practicing a lot more. It's like. And I've loved it. It's been like being a kid again, when you used to practice. And what I've found is that I'm really enjoying it. And I think I'm going to go back to the show a better player now, because after all those years of doing the show and thinking, oh, here we go again. All right, come on. Someone's first time out there, crack it. I think the first time we're bound to start, because we always do a Lion King, because I've done Lion King I've done it in New York as well. And the first time you play, Circle of Life, it's like, I'll tell you, it'll be very emotional. I know that sounds like, but it will be very emotional. The first time we play Circle of Life for the first time will be something, because Rafiki, and the 5 times I've heard that before, I've gone, oh God, but this time I know it's going to be so different. And when that groom, that would be like, oh yes, thank you. I'm so. I used to take that for granted, that piece, but I won't anymore.
I think it's definitely given everyone a lot of perspective to go. I wasn't making the most of the time before, and now I am. Like as soon as we're able to, I think most musicians are going to be really just grabbing life by and just running with it.
And I think it will make people do a lot more gigs than they wanted to before. I think, oh yeah, whatever, I don't know. You think, do it now, because these things can come to an end.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned on this is I didn't really need to work as hard as I was working. I was like in London every day, and I'm thinking, what was I saving up for? The best funeral in the world, or something like that. It's like, I've chilled. I've actually come a bit more spiritual, if that, without wanting to sound too hippie, but it's really chilled me out. It's like made me think, hang on, I don't have to rush for trains and get here before that. And like I had to go to the tip yesterday, as banal as this sounds. And normally I'd have been, oh crikey, come on, get in, chuck it. I drove down the country road. Got there was a queue to get into. Normally I'd have been, oh for God's sake, no, come on, I'll do this tomorrow. I'm going now. I waited in the queue, got it all done, chilled. It has had its positives.
I think so, as well as obviously many of its negatives. I think it's given a lot of people a lot of peace.
It does. I think it probably sort of happened for a reason. I think it has brought a lot of home truths, it's made people realize a lot more different things. I spoke to a lot of people. There isn't one person I spoke to. They said that I've actually learned something from this. The times I've heard people say that, and me included, it's good in a way, good in a bad way. But.
Yeah. I think it's made a lot of people grateful. For what they have.
It's like Tommy Emmanuel said. He's this guitarist that I love. He sort of said, "It is what it is. Get on with it." And at first I thought, well, yeah, it's all right for you to say. You're still doing your online concerts and stuff. And your albums are selling. And he was right. You know, it is. You make of it for you what it is.
Definitely.
Practice.
Yeah. You heard it here first, guys. Practice.
Practice,
Do
practice. Especially when you're young, you know, it's like that's when your body's forming, and you know, you've got to get your hands right as well, because if you get them wrong, they're going to be wrong for the rest of your life, or you're going to have to make some massive adjustments, you know. But you know, it's like go and check a teacher out every now and then about hands, you know. It's like, because otherwise, I know a lot of drummers have had to pack up repetitive strain. I can think of 5 now, and they were good drummers. You know, and at the time, you know, I remember them used to say, "You look so relaxed when you're playing." I thought, "Oh, did I?" You know, but I was lucky; I was naturally made that way to play. I didn't want to like force anything, you know. So, but yeah, relaxation.
Got to definitely keep it good for drumming, I feel.
Oh, and if you ever feel yourself stiffening up in the practice, go away for half an hour and then come back, because you're only doing damage when you feel that. Any sort of pain. That's your body telling you something. You know.
I think especially in live situations as well, I think a lot of drummers, me included, tend to play harder than we do when we practice, because the nerves kick in. You play a bit harder when you're playing live, and then you tense up. And I've had times where I've felt my entire forearm cramp up because I was just tensing so much, and I needed to just loosen up.
We all do it. It's just natural, you know. You get nervous, you tense up, you play hard, everything. Your body starts clamping up on you, you know. I know what you mean. It is, and then your mind starts playing stupid games, you know, like. And then a lot of people, when they get nervous as well, speed up. You know, it's like they start rushing, you know, and you know the classic drummer's drum fill, you know, finishing on 3.5.
I hate to say I'm guilty of speeding up sometimes. It's such a, I don't know.
Well, you know, I still to this day practice with a metronome. As soon as I say, and guys have laughed at me, you know, they said, "Oh, I've been on live gigs." They said, "What's that there?" I said, "It's a metronome." They said, "Oh, do you need that?" I said, "We all need it, you know, everyone needs it, you know." It's like, I remember going to a Steve Gadd clinic, and he had a metronome next to him. And you think of him as the human metronome, but we're all human, you know. And as you say, when nerves kick in, it can all go out the window.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Speaking of Steve Gadd, what would you say is your I guess your biggest drumming inspiration? Because that's something I'm always interested in with drummers. Who's inspired them the most? You know.
Well, you just said his name.
Really?
Yeah. He's definitely just for his musicality, and he's one of those guys that will do something so simple, and you think, why did I not think of doing that? Why I wouldn't have thought of that, because it's so simple what he's playing, and it works so lovely, and you think it's there in front of all of us. Yet he's the one guy that did it. You know, where everyone else tried everything else. He's and I always try and think like that. You think, hang on, you listening to that, they're doing that, that's their space. I don't really need to do a lot. I just need to keep time for everyone else. Let everyone sit on my, you know, hang their coat on my shoulders.
Sure.
And when I was growing up, Buddy Rich was definitely, you know, I couldn't get enough of him, you know.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, everyone thinks of him as this amazing technique, but his time was unbelievable. You know, there aren't many like him. You know, I've heard him play in small band situations live, and he was so tasty. He had taste.
Yeah.
Everyone tends to think it's the explosive Buddy Rich, you know, but he had. I heard him play in a quartet in New York once. I couldn't believe how tasty he was. He played brushes all night. And it was, I thought, wow, you know, that's the thing.
I think a lot of people forget that he actually didn't, you know, he would play these big concerts and he would have his like showpiece, I guess you could say. But then the entire rest of the time he was working with the band, wasn't he? He was with the orchestra or whatever, you know, he was totally within the groove of the piece.
So another big influence, the reason why I got into drums and my dad got into drums is a guy called Gene Krupa.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a chance to see him once live. Again, you know, you see all these films of him and it's the explosive sort of big, you know, sing, sing, sing and all that. But you see him in a quartet, it was absolutely beautiful. And one thing I remember about Gene Krupa was it shot me snare drummers at an angle like this. I mean, it was unbelievable, but so tasty. And then, you know, a lot of the modern guys, you know, there's too many to mention, you know, it's like this. But I should say Buddy Rich and Steve Gadd were definitely my, Steve Gadd would be the one, really. There's so many others that I love. Steve Jordan, I love Steve Jordan, you know, it's like, I saw him with John Mayer once. I thought, wow. You know,
that is great. Yeah, he's absolutely funky, isn't he? He's really funky.
He's so in it, you know.
Yeah.
And there was another guy that John Mayer. I saw John Mayer once. He had this. What was his? I think he was called JJ. I can't. He was. You know, there's so many guys.
Yeah. Too many to mention. Yeah. I know the feeling when I try and narrow the list down, it's like I just can't. There's just too many.
You know, and there's so many different styles as well. You know, but one thing you can say, like you say, take someone like Steve Gadd and Vinnie Colaiuta and those sort of guys. You can put them in any situation, and they will make it sound like it's their main style. You know, that's the magic. Again, it goes back to listen to as much music as you can. You know. As much, you know, even if it's weird. I mean, some of those weird drummers I've met, you know, these avant-garde guys, they'll do something and you think, what did you just do? I'd never have thought of doing that. I remember going to a pub many years ago in Manchester and there was this drummer on. He was all right, you know, but he did a couple of things and I thought, that's brilliant. What you've just done there, you don't realise what you were doing. But I can't remember what it was now, but it was, I still use some of the things I see, you know, you think, I never thought of doing that because I'm trained and he wasn't, he was coming from it raw, you know, but so he didn't, that's not wrong to him, you know, well, it's not wrong, you know, there is no wrong and right in drumming, but he did something and I thought, wow, I've never thought of doing that. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point you made about the fact that he had no training, because I think people who just sort of teach themselves often come up with these weird things where people who are kind of almost constricted by a very, you know, kind of strict sense of what you should play and what you shouldn't, you know, that they don't have that same sort of inhibition. No.
And that's what you've got to hang on to as well. Even when, you know, you're having your lessons, you've got, that could be your style, you know, that could be your signature, you know, you mustn't let all that stuff go. You know, if there's something you like doing, just because some teacher says, oh no, that's not right. There's no rules, you know, really. It really isn't. Because I'm totally self-taught drummer. Everything else I'm schooled in, piano, trombone. No, I taught myself guitar, but everything else I've had lessons on, but drums. And I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah.
You know, I've had, you know, there's a few mates of mine where I've gone along and we've had some sessions together and he said, you try this, try that, you know, because they've got some amazing shot that they do in traditional grip and I want to learn how they do it, you know. And but apart from that, it's just come from me, you know, it's like, which is good and bad sometimes, you know. You still, even though how long I've been playing, you think, oh, I've got a few holes in my education, you know, but hey-ho. I think you'll be thinking that if that just means you're wanting to progress all the time, you know, you're wanting to learn. The day you get there and think, right, I can do it all now, I think you've reached your roof, you know.
Yeah.
You're going no further then. That's the wonderful thing about music in general. It's a never ending. I know on my dying day, I'll be thinking, oh, and I never wrote that symphony and I never did that. And, you know, I never practiced that fat swallow piano piece or whatever, you know, there's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's an infinite resource, isn't it? It's, you know,
and when you're playing lots of instruments, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah, that's true, because I guess it opens you up to a whole new kind of spectrum. So many different instruments. Yeah, I recently picked up trumpet just for something to do in lockdown, and it's crazy. It's crazy how different it is from drumming, because I used to play cornet when I was a lot younger. And then I learned drums. And I just wanted, well, Initially, it was just in lessons at my primary school, and then I think I tried to do some. I did a couple of grades, and I tried to do some orchestral things, like local things, but I was a bit put off by sort of just some of the circumstances surrounding it. Threw me off. I was quite young at the time, and then I didn't learn an instrument for ages, and then I picked up drums, and then learning drums for like 3 or 4 years, and then I was like, well, I want to try trumpet again. So I literally been on the lookout and found one secondhand, and yeah, it's been great.
No, it all helps. It doesn't do you any harm whatsoever, you know. And it's another way of, you know, and I think it's good for mental health as well, you know. I mean, I got into guitar like I wouldn't believe. I was dragged along to a Tommy Emmanuel concert a few years ago, and I just thought, I want to do that. I'll never do it like him, but I want to play guitar. Normally, I've looked at guitars and thought, oh yeah, what is it? How do you get a guitarist to turn down? Put music in. But it was like I watched this guy and thought, oh my god! And it's opened up. I mean, I had to be careful because it sort of took over everything. I was like, you look at my YouTube library and it's just all these guitarists now. Yeah. That used to be drummers, you know. But I'm fascinated by other instruments. I always have been, you know. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
I don't think there's any negative to learning another instrument on top of drums. I think it's, you know, it's only going to broaden how you play.
Of course it is. But, you know, for everyone else, I learn piano. It's the center of music, this instrument, you know. You can play on your own, you can play with other people, you know, it's like you can accompany people, you know. I have people coming, well, before lockdown, singers coming around to go through songs, you know, and stuff like that. I love that, you know. It's like I've got an acoustic piano downstairs. This is my electric in the studio, but I've got a Steinway downstairs, and people said, do you want to sell that? I went, no.
Not a chance.
The feel of that piano is like you can feel the room moving, you know. It's like and I love it. That's why I nearly missed this interview. You know, you just think, oh, I wonder what the tune is like on the piano. Yeah. Next thing you're off, you know. And then this Polish woman turned up, and then she wanted to talk about Bach and stuff like that. And that's another thing I'd say. Don't learn. When I say I had a schooling, I was schooled in classical music, and I recommend that to other people as well. That is, you learn so much from that stuff. You know, I can't tell you how much that has helped me, you know, because at some time you're probably going to end up under a conductor, and that's a whole nother ball game. That is. Is there
a certain level of diplomacy sort of involved with that sort of relationship?
Yeah.
As a drummer and just as a musician.
I did something a few years ago. I was playing with this band that I played with on and off, called the Grand Union Orchestra, and we were doing something with the BBC Concert Orchestra, and this conductor came in, and I just went straight over to have a chat. And I wasn't rude or anything like that. I said, you know, I'm Dave, I'm the drummer. They went, oh, pleased to meet you. And I was just about to say to him, look, I played this music for a long time, so I know all the tempos, so just leave it with me. And he said, look, David, you know all the tempos, you know this music, so you just do the. I thought, I was just about to say that to him. I mean, I could have come across as a right arrogant sod, you know, but I thought, let's get this sorted from the word go before you lift your arms and start doing all this, you know. I wasn't being arrogant, but I'd been playing this music for 10 years, you know, so I didn't want him to start inflicting, you know, his Viennese tempos on us, you know. But he was good, he was great, and for him to say that back to me, you know, he beat me to it, you know. And so I thought, great, he's a good nut. But some of them, that'd be for another video interview. You do, but again, having said that, work under as many. If you want to get into shows, work under as many conductors as you can, because they're all. Some of them are great. Some of them just do that. They're given, you know. But some of them, what are they doing? You know. Yeah. You should look in the mirror.
Yeah. No. Fair enough. that's good advice for any drummers out there who want to be sort of pursuing the kind of stage or the orchestra.
Yeah. I meet a lot of. I get letters every week at Lion King from guys that I want to pursue musicals. You know, where when I growing up, you pursued musicals when nothing else was happening. You know, you did that later on in life. You know, but that it seems to be the thing now. You know, and it is. It's a massive business now. It's a lot bigger than it ever was when I was young. But and I totally get it. But you know. Come and sit in the Lion King or any other show, you know, or play under conductors, play as much music. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because in shows, you get every style chucked at you, you know what you're going to get. So,
but I've done a couple school productions, but, you know, nothing on that scale. But I mean, even so, it is still a musical or whatever. Oh. And the variety you get is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. But even school productions, they can be harder than the professional thing, you know, because you've got to be really good to keep that stuff together, you know, sometimes, you know. Oh, I've done them myself, school productions, you know. Oh, the money's not good. I said, I don't care. I'll come, you know, it's like, it's for a good cause, you know. It's, you know, it's fun.
You know? Yeah. Some of my best musical memories drumming have been not from shows, but from, you know, not from gigs with like a band. Like a rock band, from, you know, playing in this large group, you know, where you might have a pianist and a bassist and a guitarist and someone on the keyboard and someone playing, you know, someone playing some bongos in the back, and it's like this. There's nothing like that really. You know, when you're used to playing with guitars and bass and that's it. It's this whole new world.
So I mean, if you looked at my record library, my iTunes library, it's full of everything. You know, I mean, this morning I was downstairs on the piano, as I said, I was playing classical music. I was playing some Bach and some Mozart, and later on I'll probably be playing rhythm and blues, you know, and I'll be doing finger picking on the guitar, you know. And I've got to do some housework.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we should probably wrap up soon, because I've just looked at the time and we've been talking for ages. It's been great though. Thank you so much, good. Honestly. Yeah. Do you have any sort of anything you want to, any projects you want to plug or anything?
I haven't got any projects apart from the fact, you know, if anyone ever wants any lessons or anything like that, I'm here in Hertford Heath, you know, and especially at the moment, I'm very available. And it's I just say to, you know, and the thing is, I am a drum teacher, but I'm not just a drum teacher. You know, I teach keyboards and everything, but in lessons, I do incorporate, I play with the students. You know, I don't just sit there listening to them play to a metronome, whatever, or saying, do this paradiddle. I actually play with them.
Yeah.
And that's it's amazing how they love that, you know, and luckily I can play all right on the piano. So it's like, it's not just me going, you know, it's like it sounds like you're playing with a band sometimes, you know, and they do love it. And I always have the kit facing away from me, so they're having to use these.
Yeah,
you know, like it's all an audio thing, which is what music is. It's an audio art form, you know, it's an oral art form, shall I say. So listen, practice, come and see Dave. I'm awesome. Very easygoing.
Well, thank you very much. I'll stop the recording now.